Back with Alan to talk about some baseball here. How about the Yankees? They did lose to the Red Sox last night, but they still win the series. They've won 9 straight series.
Yeah, and the last time they did that, they won a World Series. So they've been fantastic, really. With again, we've talked many times about the supporting cast that they've had. The game last night really was more or less, if you take 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox, you're pretty happy. You would love to got the sweep and put them 10.5 down. Clint Frazier's got some issues out there, defensive issues for sure, Bill. But just collectively, this group, as then they'll get a day off, take a breath, they'll be getting healthy very soon. There's several players now going down to Tampa for some rehab, which means they could be coming back. And we already know that Didi Gregorius will be back this weekend.
All right, let's take a look at how some of the fill-ins have done. The injuries have been the big story, of course. Look at the stars who are out. You mentioned that Gregorius should be back soon. Severino's supposed to be the number 1 pitcher. He's been out. The fill-ins, Urshela, LeMahieu, and Herman has been excellent. And also Clint Frazier, despite his defensive problems last night.
Yeah, that was a terrible inning for him defensively, but still, LeMahieu is turning into a spectacular signing. Not just a good signing, just spectacular. If you consider what he's become for this team and the fact that there's several players that just view him as someone who's not just a pro's pro, but like you admire a player like this. A very good player that some people thought might have been done. He wanted to be a Yankee. It certainly helps when you have that brand. But everything he's been for this team the first half of the season has been so valuable. He's got to keep playing. Urshela has been great, and now obviously with the injury to Andujar, he's become a player that is almost an afterthought. A high draft pick who just is a late bloomer and ends up in a great spot, taking advantage of his opportunity, and he's playing well. Herman is that, like, as you watch it, you wonder, when's the other shoe going to drop? You're not expecting this. The issue there, though, is he can't really be a true ace because they've got to control his innings pitched. So somewhere later in the year, you're going to start seeing some stuff happen with him and his starts, only because you don't want to see him go up to 200 innings. He's not ready for that yet. So when does Severino come back, and what condition is he in? What Severino are you getting when he does come back? That, to me, starting pitching, still the most important thing to watch here. Is that area. But when this team does get healthy on the lineup side, they're already scoring runs now. Just imagine how much better they can become when these players do come back.
All right, meantime, the Mets, they've lost 4 out of 5. They lost to Arizona 7-1, yet they're only 5 games out of first.
Well, that's because the division's terrible,
Okay,
Bill.
But look at the pitching now. DeGrom, Syndergaard, and Wheeler. Matz wasn't any good yesterday, and now you got the top 3 compared to last year.
Yeah, look at that.
Way off.
That to me is the biggest difference in the team. Now, their offense should have been better this year compared to last year. Remember, they got off to the great start last year as well. 11-1, everybody got excited, and then reality sets in, and then it was a complete tailspin. In fact, that was the word that Mickey Callaway used last year. After the 11-1 start, when they started to lose a few games, he said, we can't let this tailspin. That's exactly what happened last year. This year, it wasn't necessarily as dramatic of a turnaround. They did get off to a decent start. But then they've had these ups and downs. They've been on such a roller coaster, and it has to do with their pitching. Their bullpen,
I don't understand.
Not very good.
Look, DeGrom was way above
but that's
what
the
you would
issue.
expect.
You always felt like you had DeGrom and Syndergaard, your 2 aces, and they can give you quality starts, they can get you stops. And DeGrom hasn't been that guy this year. Now, he was starting to get it right until the injury the other night, but that bullpen is scary. You know, who do you go to? Jairus Familia comes in the game, and he can't get anybody out. And so a game that felt like a win turns into a devastating loss. And, you know, Callaway's now trying to put up that strong front that, hey, look, this team, we're not out of it by a long shot. You know, there's plenty of season to go. And you could say that they're only 5 out. The division's not very good. But the division still has more talent on several teams, including the Phillies, and they just added Jay Bruce to get that offense even better. I just don't know where with the Mets. Where do you reach a point in the season where you decide that maybe it's time to pull the plug on the season and start building for next year and start figuring out what decisions you need to make with some of the players that you're spending a lot of money on that aren't producing?
Well, because the Mets pitching, though, you know, the manager's on the hot seat again.
Yeah,
but it's not his fault if these aces are not pitching like aces.
No, but remember, he came in as a pitching coach, an expert pitching coach, who had great success with the Indians. If anything, he's supposed to make pitchers better. He's supposed to know how to handle pitchers. The bullpen has been horrific for them. That's number one. Is that all his fault? Did Brody Van Wagenen not do enough with their bullpen? Perhaps. Diaz hasn't been good, and that trade now looks really bad when you consider what Cano has been this year. But his
Because
whole
they kind
thing
of
is to be
fortified for
pitching.
this year instead of the. They
Well,
didn't want to rebuild.
They went in.
Right.
They thought, the division might not be strong. This might be the way to go. It's not working. At what point will we see the Mets make a decision, pull the plug, get reset, and get yourself ready for the following season?
But again, only 5 games out of first could impact how they make their decisions.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.